Welcome to the Diva D-Town. Welcome to the Diva D-Town, where bold, confident women embrace life unapologetically. From love and sex to wellness and reinvention, we keep it raw, real, and powerful. No filters, no limits. Just fearless conversations to help you thrive. Let's dive in with Diva Mia.
Well, hello, this is Diva Mia, and today we're going to talk a little bit more about the art of dating. And part of the art of dating is your connection with a person. It's got to be intentional and authentic, and connections are all about alignment. If you're going to develop a long-term relationship with someone, alignment and connection is extremely important. You can't just do it off of chemistry alone, because chemistry doesn't really last. Alignment, connection, respect, those are the things that last in a relationship and will create a long-term relationship. So today we're going to talk a little bit about not just surface chemistry, not just attention, not just attraction, but intentional, authentic connection. Because I think that's really what people want. I think long-term, people want to have the partner that you hold hands with forever, not something that you just do for a few months, something that you have a long-term relationship where you're connected and you have chemistry, and that chemistry lasts. And it's not going to last unless there's authentic connection. That authentic connection can span over decades. It can be like that from the beginning of the time when you meet them until the day you die. But that connection also comes with an alignment. If it's not authentic from the beginning, it's not going to last. I think people, once they fully and intentionally connect with someone, they feel safe. They feel aligned. It can be expansive and sustainable. But you've got to be careful, because sometimes you go through the honeymoon stage and you think it's going to last, and it doesn't. We live in a world where instant gratification is seen as what's necessary. But instant gratification does not create long-term relationships. We're in a swipe culture where we have performative relationships that are quick and fast. But if you want a really true connection, a rare connection, an incredibly valuable connection, you've got to take your time. You've got to be authentic with those and expect others to be authentic with you. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes they come on strong and you see red flags over time, and sometimes they are. You just have to really work at it. And that's the trick to developing an authentic connection relationship. But real connection actually is alignment. It matters more than passion. It means you connect on all levels. It means you're there for each other. It means they show up when they're expected to show up, and they show up willingly without being forced. Respect is also the foundation of long-term love. If there's no respect there, or they don't show respect for you, that's a red flag, because what's going to happen is that it's going to show that they may not be there long-term for you. They're just there for the quick fix. The biggest pitfall, disrespect is one of the biggest pitfalls. It's the quiet destroyer of relationships. And sometimes it's just little incidences of disrespect that lead up to a relationship dying over time. I know as women, a lot of times we put up with a lot. Sometimes we tell our partners that we felt disrespected, and they may apologize, but then they do it again. And again, there's only so many times you can allow for disrespect to happen. And quite frankly, men, if you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, and you don't know how to treat a woman at this point, you need to go look inward, because you should know how to treat another woman, a friend, another person without being disrespectful. It's confusing to women when, for instance, you show up somewhere and you get disrespected, and you're like, how in the heck could they not known basic common consideration? We look at that and we're like, oh my gosh, that's a 50-year-old man and he still doesn't know how to show respect to his partner. We look at it a little confused, and then it becomes a little bit of an issue. Respect is going to be one of the biggest parts of aligning with someone. It's going to be one of the biggest parts of making sure that you have an intentional connection. When you lose that respect for someone, if someone disrespects you, it's hard to respect them back. That is the beginning of a breakdown of a relationship. I'm not saying it's impossible to get it back. It's just, it takes work. But connection and respect, it's not accidental. You do have to work at it. You have to do it every day. It's an art and it's a choice. It's not something that automatically happens. People, I think sometimes when you align with somebody and you fall for somebody and you connect with them, you're like, oh, this should be easy. It is, but it doesn't mean you don't have to do any work at all. It doesn't mean you get to stop showing up. It doesn't mean you get to get lazy or comfortable and disrespect the other party. Authentic connection means you are seen as you are, not as what you pretend to be, and you don't shrink or perform or chase someone. You get to be who you are and get to be respected as who you are. When you see that disrespect, then you get to make a choice. Do you want to stay in this relationship or not? Hopefully you find a partner that won't disrespect you ever, and it's a good relationship. To me, like if you have a disagreement with a partner, the best thing to do is to discuss it in private. Some people like to be loud and obnoxious and argue in front of people. I'm not that. I think it's disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful when people accuse you of things or try to yell at you in front of other people. It's just disrespectful. If you have a problem with your partner, take it outside or take it private. Go sit in the car and discuss it as adults would discuss things. Because if you're in your 50s and 60s, guys, you should know better. You really should. Women too. You should know better. Don't shrink for your partner. Don't perform or chase them. Because if a man really wants you, ladies, they'll show up and they'll show up authentically. They'll show up as a man that they should be. What happens is when you get disrespected, your emotional safety, it goes down a little bit. And it starts to make you try to guess what is going on in your relationship. I will say for me, at least, safety is one of my biggest things. I have to feel safe or I don't sleep at night. If I don't feel safe, I'm not comfortable. My sleep gets messed up. My nervous system goes awry. If I don't feel safe in a relationship, my body tells me. I don't even have to think about it. My body starts to tell me. I start sleeping less. It's a sign that something's off in my relationship because my body will tell me. You need to be intentional in making sure you choose the right partner so that your body doesn't have to tell you, hey, there's a problem here. Intentional connection also means you're choosing each other consciously. It means that you know you love each other and you're there and you show up every day. You communicate clearly. When there's a problem, you need to discuss it. And sometimes it may be a problem for one partner and it's not a problem for the other partner, but you still need to discuss it because you want to make sure things are smooth and not bottled up. If you bottle it up and push it down, ladies, and think, I don't want to make a big deal about it, and then it just keeps bothering you, it'll eat away at you and it'll eat away at the relationship. If you care about keeping that relationship strong, just discuss it. Figure out a way to move past it. And if you can't move past it, then maybe it's time to move on. But you've got to show up consistently. Don't make everything about convenience. And life is important to be convenient and consistent. But once it gets convenient and comfortable, sometimes you lose sight of what's necessary to keep that relationship going. Real connection happens when words match your actions. If a person says they're a giver or that they really love you or they want to take care of you, but then they don't, words aren't matching actions, and it can be confusing. It can be from both sides. If a woman says that she loves you and then she goes out and talks to other people badly about you, that could be a problem as well. Or if she goes out and cheats or something like that. Men and women, we need to learn to respect each other, take care of each other, and our words have to match our actions. And our energy has to match our intention. So if we are intending to stay in a relationship, why aren't you putting in effort? Your intention has to be there as well. And I always talk about values as well. Our values have to match our behavior. If we say we're a good person and then you go out and you have an emotional affair with someone, or you cheat with someone, or you're checking out other people, or you're flirting with other people, or doing things that you shouldn't be, your values aren't matching your behavior. That's going to destroy a relationship faster than anything. I've seen it a time and time. I think I call it wandering eye syndrome, Wes, where it happens both men and women. They're checking out other people when they're with their partner. They shouldn't be doing it when they're not with their partner, but they do it with their partner. And all it does is create an insecurity in the relationship. And it creates resentment from one party towards the other. So if that's your personality type, realize you're not going to get a high quality person. You're going to get somebody that's always going to be suspicious and will settle. People, if you're getting a person that's going to settle for you, it's probably a few steps down. Remember, if this is your personality type, it's not going to create a long, enduring relationship. So watch out for that too. Because values matter. Your values have to match your behavior. If you say you're a loyal person and then you go out and cheat, that's not loyalty. Your values do have to match. It's not always about intensity. It's more about integrity. Do you have integrity in your relationships? Can someone trust you when you say you're going to do something? Do you show up on time? Or are you late all the time? Every single time a man is late or a woman is late, it chips away at the integrity of their relationship. It chips away at the trust that you created. Because if you're not showing up for your partner on time, then you're disrespecting them every single time you're late. Now, I understand there's traffic. And every once in a while, you may be late. But if you say you're going to be somewhere at a certain time and you don't show up, it's disrespectful and people will lose trust and it starts to destroy your relationship. There was actually a study done, and one of the number one things that starts to break down relationships is a lack of trust in someone. The trust can come just from someone being late or not showing up on time. Even if you have chemistry with someone, if you make them feel anxious, confused, or unsettled, they're going to walk away eventually because there's only so much they can take. I don't care who it is. They'll eventually walk unless they have no self-respect. Ladies, I hope you have a lot of self-respect. By the time you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you've really got to own what you got. I don't care what you look like. I don't care how you behave, but you are you and own it and love it. But if someone's disrespecting you, it might be time to have a heart-to-heart. And if they don't improve, it might be time to move on. Because it's not connection when they cause confusion. It's not connection when they make you anxious or unsettled or they're disrespectful. It causes your nervous system to activate and you feel off. You won't sleep well. You get a little nervous around them and it just starts to destroy the relationship. So connection feels grounded, calm, secure. It's energizing. It's not chaotic. And it may have gone in that you had a strong connection in the beginning and then it starts to waver. It happens. Sometimes people over time, they just don't show up the same way they used to. So realize that can happen as well. Attraction will get you in the door with women and men. Attraction always gets you in the door, but alignment is what keeps you in the room. If you want to stay with someone, you need to have similar values and not just talk about values. The values have to be core. I've talked about core values in the past, and alignment it's required to have similar core values. You also need to have compatible lifestyles. Sometimes money can be an issue. If one person makes more money than another and they don't come from similar backgrounds, compatibility issues can be an issue. Sometimes it's just because people have different hobbies and there's compatibility issues there, but compatible lifestyles are important with alignment. And then a shared vision for the future. You should talk about what you're looking for together, what you want, and don't just be agreeable. Tell them what you are looking for in the future. And then you also have to match emotional availability. Now, this is a big one. I think sometimes some people are more emotionally available than others. Like, for instance, some people like to spend quality time together, and other people want to be alone most of the time and only see each other once a week or twice a week. So emotional availability is going to matter. If you're yearning to be with somebody and you miss them a lot and they miss you, that's great. That's an emotional alignment, but some people don't align that way. You can like the same music and still be misaligned, because maybe you don't like to listen to it all the time. You can have great sex and still be incompatible. And that's the thing. A lot of people, they say, well, we have such great sex. Well, great sex is great, but if your values aren't aligning or you're getting disrespected, it can change the relationship and make it incompatible. Alignment shows up in how you handle conflict, how you manage stress, how you communicate your needs, and how responsive the other person is to listening to those needs. And it also shows up how you respect when emotions are running high. So when someone gets upset, what happens? Does it turn into a big blowout fight? Or do you listen to each other and talk through it? Alignment shows up in those ways. As well as when stressful things happen, do you communicate clearly? Are you good together? When your alignment is missing, relationships are going to feel like work. It's not going to feel like a partnership. It's going to feel tough. It's going to feel like you're constantly working to keep it together. There's going to be confusion instead of clarity. Every relationship, don't get me wrong, ladies, just because you have a few bumps in the road doesn't mean the relationship is over. There's confusion at certain times, but if the relationship most of the time is confusing, then you've got a problem. If you're getting anxiety instead of peace from your partner, there's a problem. Remember, you should feel comfortable in your relationship. You should have some sort of peace and ability to communicate with your partner. If they're not willing to listen, then you may not be in the right relationship. You shouldn't have to convince someone to meet you where you already are. They should want to show up where you already are, and they should understand that. You've got to talk about respect, okay? Respect is so important because love without respect doesn't last. Respect is important because when somebody respects you, they're going to listen to you. They're not going to interrupt everything you say. They're going to honor your boundaries without punishing you for it. I was in a relationship once where whenever I would bring up something that bothered me, I got punished because it turned into a fight and a blame game that I just didn't understand them, and I had boundaries and therefore I was at fault. It was rough. You got to be in a relationship where boundaries are honored and there's no punishment. You got to be able to speak kindly to each other even during disagreements. Honestly, the whole yelling and screaming, fighting thing that was kind of the 1980s, 90s, and even early 2000 that people did on TV and in relationships, and that they said, "Oh, I like to fight so we can make up." I'm sorry, that's a bunch of BS. You can have a disagreement and speak kindly to each other because honestly, if you're yelling at your partner, you're not being loving at all. So you need to learn to speak kindly, even during disagreements, and show consideration to them when no one's watching. I mean, honestly, how you treat your partner at home is just as important, if not more, than how you treat them in public. I think in public, it's important as well, because if somebody's accusing you or yelling at you in public, it's disrespectful as well. But if you can't have a conversation in private with someone when no one is watching, then there's also a disrespect going on. Even if somebody's yelling and screaming you at home, that's so disrespectful. Well, you deserve more. Have some self-respect for yourself. Respect is following through. I never have a disagreement. If I have a disagreement with somebody, I take them outside in private or I discuss it privately. So for people, just remember, follow through with respect. Be honest, even if it's uncomfortable. And value your time, your body, your emotions, and your effort because you're putting a lot of work into a relationship, ladies. Our time is so valuable and our effort is so valuable. And when someone disrespects you, they disrespect all about you. Because when respect is present, you have trust. You feel safe. Your safety deepens. You'll sleep better at night. You'll feel better when you're around them. Your desire increases. I will say if I get disrespected, my sexual desire goes away immediately. I mean, I may have been really excited to see them, really turned on to see them. And if someone disrespects me, my desire goes to zero. I've had it happen in relationships where I got disrespected and I just didn't want to be with the person. Then you know the relationship's about to end because if you're getting disrespected, you're like, okay, I'm done. You'll give them a few chances typically because everybody deserves a few chances, but over time it kills it. When respect is missing, you get resentment and it builds up over time. And it could be micro disrespect too, little versions of disrespect here and there. And the reality is when that happens, you have to remember that those little micro disrespect things, it's going to create resentment and attraction is going to go down. You're not going to want to be intimate with your partner. You're not going to want to get close to your partner. You're not going to want to snuggle. Your nervous system's going to be on overdrive. Your emotional walls pretty much go up. That's not a long-term relationship. You've got to nurture a long-term relationship, and you can't do it with just charm alone. You can't do it with just cuteness alone. Respect is what makes love long-term sustainable. So let me go over real quick the pitfalls that are going to destroy your connection because you worked so hard to get into this relationship. You found a really good partner and you're there and you really like them, but then you start to kill the relationship. I will say that some people sabotage their own relationships. Sometimes they sabotage their own relationships because they're nervous or they're insecure or they just don't feel worthy. But when they do, sometimes it's too late because the quiet relationship killers, if you ignore these, it's going to be too late. One of the big ones is inconsistency. Hot one day, cold the next. I will say it killed the relationship. I started dating a guy and he was hot one day and then cold the next and hot and cold. And I don't like the yo-yo factor. That lack of effort and inconsistency, once you get comfortable with a person, it destroys your safety. It's the inconsistency breeds anxiety and you feel like you're not seen. You feel like you're not valued. And when a person is inconsistent with their attention, it destroys your attraction towards them. Just realize that. Then a lack of emotional accountability. Let's say that you had a disagreement on something. If the other person deflects or blames you for it and they won't take accountability for their actions, it destroys a relationship. Because over time, if you avoid responsibility, it will kill your connection. Because connection requires ownership, not ego. You've got to own when you make a mistake. You got to own it. It's okay to make mistakes, but you got to own it. Sometimes it takes a while for your partner to forgive a mistake, but you still got to own it. Poor communication is a big one too. If you're not communicating well, this is a big one for me. And I think it is for a lot of women. I think sometimes we expect men to be mind readers and we can't do that anymore. We have to let them know when something bothers us. We have to let them know and stop avoiding the hard communication the hard conversations because we need to let the men know that there's a problem. I am one of those big people. Whenever I have a problem, I go silent, but it's not as a punishment. Some people use silence as a punishment. I go silent just because I want to formulate my words in a way that I'm calm, cool, and collected, and I can have a clear discussion. So you can go silent for a little bit, but make sure you come back to the table and have an open communication with someone because healthy relationships talk through discomfort. They do. And you're going to have discomfort in every relationship. You're going to have issues because you're two separate beings no matter what. Until you're with somebody for 10 years and you're symbiotic almost, it's going to take a while to really merge your personalities, and your personalities will merge. But you do have to have good communication. One of the big ones that I've seen guys do is they disrespect people, and women too, and they disguise it as a joke. They disguise it as sarcasm or belittling, and they try to minimize the other person's feelings. If it's hurtful to you and somebody says something that's hurtful and it's not humorous, you need to let them know. You need to have good communication, and if they keep doing it, it's going to diminish you. It's not love. It's somebody's insecurity trying to make you feel less than. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in couples, and you need to keep some of the stuff private too. If something happened, you don't have to share with your friends. Keep it private. Work through it with your partner because that's what they're there for. One of the big things too is misaligned values. Sometimes one person is more committed to the relationship than others. Sometimes one person has more money or has a lack of money and doesn't care and just has a lot of debt. Or they are not big into having a family. If you want to have a family and you find somebody that's not into having families or doesn't really care about families, that's a difference in your values. Integrity is huge too. Some people are okay with people stepping out on relationships, and other people's it's like a red line you can't cross. Integrity is a big one. Then growth mindset. That's probably huge for me. I need a person that has a growth mindset because I don't like people that are victims or shrink down and don't want to grow in life because education is always important for me forever. And so love can't override incompatible values forever. Eventually, they're going to poke through. What has to happen, I don't change people, but if someone wants to grow with me, great. If someone is where they're at and they're not going to grow with me, I need to know early because I need to move on because I am a very big growth mindset of person. Once you've got your relationship and you're avoiding the pitfalls, and I know it sounds so complicated, but it is complicated. Relationships are very complicated, and feelings and ego and everything gets involved in stuff. So it takes time to work through some of this. So here's how to build your intentional, authentic connection. So you've spent some time, you've avoided the pitfalls, you've found the right partner. One of the big things in order to make sure your connection lasts is to be honest early. If you try to trick a person into falling for you and you spend 3 months acting like one person and then all of a sudden the other person comes out of you because it's your natural who you are, there's going to be some confusion and it's going to decrease your connection and it'll destroy your relationship. You've got to communicate clearly about who you are and what you want. I know some people, they're like, oh, I want to get married right away. And other people don't. That's a communication that you've got to talk to. And you've got to set boundaries without guilt. Boundaries are there to protect us, and we shouldn't feel bad about boundaries. Don't put up a wall where nobody can get through, but there are reasons for boundaries. So don't feel guilty when you have them, but choose a partner who's got your back, and your boundaries don't have to be as large. I mean, if you got a partner that supports you and is your biggest cheerleader, you're already halfway there. I mean, you still have to get respect, but you're there. But watch behavior more than words, because I will tell you, sometimes people say they're one way and then their behavior shows a completely different thing. You got to believe the behavior. I'm sad to say, I wish I could believe everything people say, but the behavior shows who they are. Then prioritize your emotional safety first. Because if you don't feel safe, there's no point in being in a relationship in the first place. That emotional safety is all that it's about. If you have self-respect and respect yourself first, you don't have to worry so much about any of this because self-respect will have you back out of relationships that are disrespectful. The quality of your relationship will never exceed the quality of your self-respect. Remember that. Connection starts with aligning with yourself first. So that's why everybody, whenever you go into a relationship and they say the first thing you need to do is you need to go and work on yourself, the reason they say that is because you have to align with yourself first. You have to connect with yourself first. Real connection shouldn't be draining you, and you should be happy before you even go into the relationship. Real connection doesn't confuse you. It makes you happy. You should feel joy. It doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't make you question why you're in the relationship. There may be instances where people make mistakes and you're going to have to either move past them or move on. But you're going to have to realize that sometimes people do mess up. If you have a real connection, you should be expanding your relationship. You should feel stable. A connection should really feel mutual. It should feel both ways. It shouldn't feel one-sided. There is a little bit of a push and pull, but there shouldn't be an extreme push and pull. It should be both parties want to be in that relationship. One shouldn't want to be in the relationship more than the other. If you want to have a really deep relationship, don't chase intensity and start choosing alignment. When you align with someone and you're comfortable with someone and it feels normal and peaceful and respectful, that's what you should be choosing, not intensity. Because when connection is intentional, love becomes sustainable. It really does. It sustains through time and it feels natural. It really does. When you have that connection with someone, it just feels natural. It feels like it was always that way. Time kind of stops. It could be a few months and it feels like you've been together for years because it just feels so natural. Relationships will grow. You shouldn't feel like you're in survival with a relationship. You should feel like you're thriving with the relationship. Relationships should help you grow as a person. Relationships should make you feel comfortable. It should make you feel loved. It should make you feel like they're the perfect person for you that you've been waiting for your whole life. I hope this helps. I know that it's a struggle sometimes to keep a relationship going. Some people rush into marriage too soon because they're afraid the relationship will fall apart, but that's not a reason to get married. Make sure the relationship is on solid ground and sustainable before you move into marriage, because marriage should be a vow that you stay together forever. And I think people are using it as just a next level of commitment in a relationship, and that's not what it is. A marriage is more deep than that. So I do hope that helps, and I wish you all the best in all your dating and lifestyle and changes that are going on in our older ages, 40s, 50s, and 60s. I know that a lot of things are happening, and I wish you all the best with whoever you have as a partner. Valentine's Day is coming up soon, so there will be more to come. Have a wonderful day, and Happy New Year.
Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We'd love hearing from you. Visit thedivadetails.com to connect. See you next week for more.
Diva Details podcast and website are intended solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The content provided does not constitute professional, medical, financial, or legal advice. We are not licensed medical practitioners, financial advisors, or legal professionals. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Any financial topics discussed are based on personal opinions and experience and should not be considered professional advice. The content provided does not constitute legal advice. The Diva Details and its affiliate contributors and guests are not liable for any losses or damages arising from the use of our content. The opinions expressed in the podcast are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated organization, sponsors, or partners. All facts discussed in the podcast are researched and accurate to the best of our knowledge at the time of recording. Information may change over time. No guarantees are made regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements or opinions presented. It is the responsibility of the listener to verify any and all facts that may influence their decision. This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice.